Hey gamers, welcome back to the Pashcast, the only show that tries really hard not to kill any tribals while playing Jet Force Gemini. I'm Pashford Morano, the editor-in-chief over at Gamer Syndrome, and you're listening to the Pashcast. Hi everyone. It's been a little while since I've recorded one of these. I actually recorded one about 2 days ago. It was about Rare Replay. I didn't post it because I really wasn't happy with it. It went on for a long time, 30 minutes actually, which kind of fit the Rare Replay theme, 30 games, $30, 30 years, etc. But it was pretty shit. So I didn't actually post it. Two of the main reasons was I feel like it perhaps wasn't interesting enough, and the other reason was that it was too long, and I don't know if I've engendered enough trust in Pashcast listeners to ask them to make that kind of commitment. It still exists, and if I get a single request from any Pashcast listener to post it, I will, but I don't think that's going to happen, so it may remain on the cutting room floor. I will, however, talk about Rare Replay today. That is kind of the point of this current Pashcast, kind of a Rare Replay redo. Funny enough, MGS5 is actually installing as I record this, because it is September 1st and the game just launched. I skipped the midnight because my local GameStop, I'm not too hot about it. It used to be fantastic. There used to be awesome people working there. But I kind of went indie and got it from a local game store. That's installing, and I'm super excited to play that for a lot of reasons. I'm probably going to be doing a Pashcast later tonight after I've put in a chunk of time into it, because it's MGS. Probably going to be the last Metal Gear Solid title I really give a shit about, because Konami is an ass, to say the least. But we're not going to get into that right now. We are just going to talk a little bit about Rare Replay, or at least some of the major takeaways I got from Rare Replay. It's awesome. Anyone who owns an Xbox One should have it. It's just an amazing amount of content. So good. And it really shows what kind of quality Rare has represented over the years. Even if they haven't necessarily represented that recently, I'll still totally vouch for like Nuts and Bolts and Viva Pinata. But it's undeniable that the N64 was their golden age, and Rare Replay definitely reminds us of that. I think a couple of points with Rare Replay that I want to talk about was, firstly, Rare's always been really good at kind of taking what the industry is doing at that time and making it its own, putting its own spin on it, even by their own admission. They're not ripping people off. They're just taking good ideas that already exist and repackaging them with a little more flair and pizzazz. I think Rare Replay still, even though it's not an original game and just a collection, is indicative of the industry right now, because a lot of companies, even companies and studios that have a lot of talent, are putting out huge collections of some of their old games or just repackaging some of their more recent games for a number of reasons. I think this may be a twofold problem. The collections do represent a value because they are kind of sweetened up with some extras and some HD overhauls and whatnot. So that's good. And usually the collections do represent a number of games that have come out that have been kick-ass. I couldn't even bother to name all of them here, but they exist. They totally exist. The collectionitis is occurring in our industry right now. So I think that a lot of companies are doing that to make money and to pass the time between some of their larger titles. But I think another more real problem of why the collections exist is that perhaps no one's really admitting the AAA model is maybe too bloated for its own good, and that it's just not feasible from a financial standpoint. But the collections are somehow a way of rationalizing, well, we can delay this project a little more and take a little more time on it and still get more money from our old projects while making this new one. And there's good and bad to that. I think the good is that at least they're not saying it's not a complete fuck you to gamers everywhere, giving them something else to do. Using their helping to have gamers use their own backlog to create more of a backlog, which is really weird. But yeah, I think the Rare Replay, they once again, Rare is seeing what the industry is doing and it's capitalizing it in a good way. Because the Rare Replay is amazing, but it definitely is indicative of both Rare and the industry kind of be like, it takes a lot of money and time to make games to the caliber that kind of our overlords want us to, or the amount of money or expectation we have to meet for like a AAA game, quote unquote. So that's an issue. I think there's another problem with the collectionitis just that it exists. We're so busy paying attention to what made our past great, or celebrating what's already happened, that we're not spending time building a better future. And I know that sounds kind of like a shallow platitude, but I think there's truth to it. Because, I mean, I know Rare's got Sea of Thieves in the works, and I've heard some really good things, some great rumors. I've talked to some people from Rare, and they seem really passionate about it, which is cool. And I don't doubt that Sea of Thieves won't be awesome. But in the sense of maybe dwelling in the past too much and not building a better future, it's great to look back and see where we've come from, and even maybe celebrate our victories and maybe capitalize better on our past mistakes. But if we spend all this time remaking or rebundling collections, ideas, or games that we've already had, we'll never create something new or maybe try something else. And I think that, has many dangers to it. Because without a future, there's nothing to work towards. So I hope the AAA model either has to change, or game companies have to, find a way to change it, because it's obvious these collections might be, a problem that relate to the fact that these games have got too big. Perhaps why a lot of companies like Konami straight doesn't give a shit, and they're getting out of the game. A lot of other companies are changing the way they do things in bad ways. I mean, Capcom has even said collections going forward are what we want to do. So some of the biggest names in the industry are just like, man, this is just too fucking much. So I think that the collections are evident of a problem, even if they kind of handle it in a clever way. And definitely a warning flag that things need to change for the better and fast, or else we are going to be without any new ideas, any more fresh experiences in the near future. And obviously, no one really wants that. So that's what Rare Replay says to me, though it does bring up a good point, and it was that Rare Replay does represent kind of a passion project. It's clear that people at Rare care and have cared for a long time, and that's why they can celebrate a 30-year history and all of these amazing games that help build it. I don't know if we're going to see the same kind of camaraderie, or, collectivism or celebratory group handshakes all around for maybe companies like Rovio. And I don't mean to incriminate anyone who works at Rovio. I'm sure there's plenty of nice people who work there. But, they're responsible for Angry Birds. And I think to myself, are these new companies, or maybe not Angry Birds, because I don't have anything against Angry Birds, and I actually don't wish to segregate the gaming community any more than it already is. The more inclusive gaming is, the better, because saying, oh, you're not a hardcore gamer enough, or you play cell phone games, etc., I think that's just toxic and not necessary. But it does bring up a good point, because I think a lot of modern games like Angry Birds, while they may have a lot of passion behind them, it may kind of start to blur the lines of games maybe becoming too much of a consumer product versus kind of an artistic endeavor. And I think you run that risk with any creative business, because you need to make money, but you also don't want to violate the artist's intent or passion. And that's super hard to do if you're trying to make a lot of money. We're talking World of Warcraft, Wii, Call of Duty-esque amounts of money, where it's just so massive and it sets such a standard. It's like, who can hope to actually follow in those footsteps? And, are we going to have, an Angry Birds collection in 10, 20 years that everyone loves, that everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe these games, they're releasing them again, they're going to be so great. Are they going to have fans? Or, is it just going to be a slew of consumers like, oh, Angry Birds, I think I remember that kind of thing. I'm scared to think what it might transpire to be, but I don't know. I think that there's plenty of room in gaming, even with kind of the standards of today, or like the fast-moving expectations of our modern society, to deliver a really quality product and not have to be hyper-competitive about how much money it needs to make in order to really deliver. And I really hope that the slew of collections are only maybe kind of growing pains for the industry and not the ultimate conclusion, because that would be a damn shame. Because as much as I love Rare Replay, I love the idea way more that two dudes started this company in like a basement 30 years ago and spent a lot of time making it as good as they could. And then there was a group of people who saw how much they cared and wanted to make games like Battletoads and Donkey Kong Country, even though it's not in the collection, and Banjo-Kazooie and Conker and Jet Force Gemini and Perfect Dark and all these amazing games and said, let's make people happy, and let's be happy that we can get paid to do that, because I think that's what matters at the end of the day. So that's the Pashcast for today. I apologize again, as many of you probably already noticed. I'm not going to be able to include visuals with this just because it's so last minute, and I just totally fucked up the approach to this. But at least you're getting something. I think that this Pashcast has way more value. I still think it's kind of kick-ass. And you're going to get another one later tonight if everything goes perfectly, or at least ideally. Fan of Pain's going to finish installing real soon, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to do a write-up. It's going to be grand. So thanks for stopping by. It's been Pash from Murano, and this has been the Pashcast. Check you later.